Welcome to today's episode of People and Strategy. I'm your host, Mo Fatalbab, President of International Facilitators Organization. People and Strategy is a podcast from the SHRM Executive Network, the premier network of executives in the field of human resources. Each week, we bring you in-depth conversations with the country's top HR executives and thought leaders. For today's conversation, I'm excited to share with you an exclusive recording from SHRM's Visionaries 2025 Summit, an exclusive conference for SHRM Executive Network members. This is a live session recorded on stage featuring guest Claire MacIntyre, Chief People Officer of Sam's Club. The title of this session is The Last All-Human Workforce, Designing for the Future of Work. Claire was formerly a senior HR leader at Estée Lauder. Keep listening to hear them discuss where the workplace is headed.
Our next session, The Last All-Human Workforce. And to lead that session, we have Claire MacIntyre, who is SVP and Chief People Officer at Sam's Club, where she oversees over 100,000 associates. She has 25 years of HR experience with Estée Lauder, Diageo, Walmart, and her focus is on belonging, well-being, and enabling associates. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
So just a heads up, this session is going to be interactive. We're going to give you an opportunity to have some table conversations. And of course, we're going to hear from Claire. And you're going to love hearing from Claire, and you'll know why in a second. Not just because she's from Sam's, but because of her lovely accent, which I just can't get enough of. But a question I want you to ponder and reflect upon as we dig into this session is, what do we want to protect, elevate, and redesign as AI joins the party? What do we want to protect, elevate, and redesign as AI joins the party? So first, Claire, I want to start with, what does the last all-human workforce mean to you?
So thank you, Mo, for inviting me, and thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you. And yes, it is a Brooklyn accent he's excited by. No. We're exploring a lot at Walmart and Sam's Club. What does AI mean, and the kind of the advent of AI? And I think everybody's talking quite a lot about that. And I had my leadership team away, and we were really kind of pondering on this. And we had this sudden realization that the world is changing. And we will know, as this generation of HR leaders, we're probably the last leaders of HR that will be a fully human workforce. And that's a bit confronting, because when you think about it, what does that actually mean for us, our craft, even for some of the basics like organization charts and spans and layers? So what I'd really offer you, and the piece that I'm really obsessed about with my team, is how do we get ahead of it, and how do we think about this really kind of harmonization of AI and humans to make something much more meaningful for the humans in the workplace?
And at Sam's Club, you talk about being people-led and tech-powered.
We do.
How do you square that with the narrative around AI creating job loss?
You know, it's really interesting, because I think that we're approaching this with a scarcity mindset, and I don't actually subscribe to the fact that it's going to cause significant or mass job loss. I think it's going to change jobs. I had the privilege of being at the Opportunity Summit that Walmart hosted yesterday, and I heard from our CEO, Doug McMillan. And Doug said, we don't want that to happen at Walmart and Sam's. We're people-led, tech-powered. So therefore, we want to get ahead of what does that mean. And we see Walmart stores, Sam's Clubs as being a place where humans actually convene. So we see our role in society as actually it's a place where humans come together. And Doug was very, very strong yesterday. He said, until the humanoids have got money, I'm not having a humanoid serving them. Right? So it's like, we will have people serving people. And we really believe in that. We believe in the power of connection. So I think it's going to change jobs. I think it's going to change how we work. But many of us, I'm aging myself out here, many of us remember when email came in, right? Before that was fax. Some of you are nodding. Okay. And then the iPhone wasn't invented to 2007. And how many of you have your emotional support devices in your hands, on your pockets, right? So there's an interesting moment. What we're seeing in the front line is really fantastic adoption. The frontline are taking it and they're saying, amazing, another tool to help me do my job better, faster, thank you. We've been piloting, we actually gave all of our club managers ChatGPT. They're in love with it. It helps them get smarter on their numbers. It helps them understand things more real time. I'm actually really excited by this. I've been through the change curve. I've been through the, oh my gosh, they're going to take over and they're going to rule the world and it'll be the end of humans. And I've moved through that real quick. I actually am very optimistic. And I think that as the HR community, there's a real opportunity for us to get in the conversation now. I feel that's where we've been lacking. We haven't been in it enough yet. And I want us to really think about how we get in it to help shape it.
And what has surprised you the most in blending AI and talent?
Yeah. I think what I've seen is once people get past the, it's taken something away and they see how they're becoming a bit more bionic, right? Again, I'm aging myself. What was this, Steve McQueen, so I watched it the second time around, not the first time. But once you kind of have that headset of being a bit more, it helps you to be better at your job or to do things differently. You start to see an unlock. And we've been doing a ton of work at Sam's Club to actually deconstruct jobs, to look at what is the mundane element, what is the stuff you can automate that machines can do, leaving the humans with more higher order, higher purpose work. That gets me really excited. If you leave the humans with the stuff that is purpose-driven, creative, collaborative, enabling them to use their agency, that feels really good to me. Like, I like this world where we can take the toil and the grind out. Like, how many people have worked with people where they're copying one cell on one spreadsheet into another thing and then they're doing it, right? That goes away. I think that's where it gets really exciting. And some of the work that we've been doing with different teams and areas to either create efficiency or to create more effectiveness, once they get their heads around that this is an enablement of them to be more successful and to do more meaningful work, they start to embrace it. People are like, I use Copilot, I use ChatGPT, like, okay, but then what? To help them recraft their jobs and processes using agents, that then becomes something they can get their heads and their hearts around. And it becomes just a different kind of proposition. So I've been surprised when you show how to use agents for process and for recrafting some of that people really embrace because they see how it's going to make their jobs better. They see how it's going to make the team's jobs better. You're taking the grind out.
Yeah. So let's transition into how work itself is being reshaped. Can you think of an example at Sam's Club where AI has changed the org chart, the workflow?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about two examples, if I may, one corporate and one frontline. In our corporate environment, so we have a lot of items. We sell a lot of stuff. And our replenishment business, our replenishment function is very, very core. We have to be brilliant at replenishment. What we found there is the teams were still using lots of solutions that they developed over lots of different years, all with super well intention, right? We're going to build a spreadsheet for this. We're going to do a pivot table, whatever for that. We've started to create much more efficiency in their work by starting to use different agents or orchestrating work across different groups. That has enabled us to change the workflow, which is enabling us to change the org charts. It's enabling us to look at how we then build teams differently. And we're seeing much more cross-functional teaming now, because once you start to take care of some of that data and process flow, you start to look at how people work together. And when you look at how the humans work together, you start to look at teaming a little bit differently. And we're starting to look at some end-to-end experiences rather than very vertical driven, your piece in the equation of a bigger organizational process.
Yeah. And how do you manage the scarcity mindset as AI starts to step in and take on more of our roles and responsibilities?
I'm going to quote Doug again because he was very powerful at this summit yesterday. Doug said, as long as humans fail to come up with new ideas and fail to identify problems, then there will be scarcity. Like if we don't come up with anything new, if we don't come up with anything creative, or we don't see new problems, then what happens is you are in this scarcity piece, right? Because then you're having to do more with less. So I would offer you that as we think about the role of AI and we think about how are we going to superpower organize or move, do more, go faster. If you think about it through growing your business, growing your output, if you think about it that way, or you think about the biggest problems that your company and organization has today, I think you move out the scarcity piece. How we're looking at it in Sam's Club, we have a very, very ambitious mission for ourselves. We're gonna double our business, but we're not going to double the number of people. So we're coming at it from how can we leverage the amazing capabilities and talents that we have today? How can we augment with different technology, AI, agents that enable us to do more within our business context? And I think that's a super cool problem.
I love that. So we're going to have our first table discussion. And the question that I'd like you to ponder, you have a total of 3 minutes. And afterwards, we're going to ask some of you to share out some of your learnings. What stays human and why? What stays human and why? We got one here first. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mo. I'm Leslie Pierce.
Hi, Leslie.
Our table thought, what stays human in our organization and why? We said the human touch. Machines can't give empathy. They can't be there if someone has a death in the family or a tragedy, or if we're doing employee relations, things of that nature that require decision-making or empathy and compassion. And then we also need human touch. You know, we thought about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you always still need to be human, but they can help us do our jobs more efficiently.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful.
So we did all that, number one. So employee relations was one of the first things that came up. But we also had an interesting comment around business partnering, right? And so when you think about an HR relationship that has to happen with other leaders in the organization, AI cannot handle those kind of human touch interactions that need to be critical or foundational to the work. Yeah, so I think those two for us.
Thank you. One more?
Well, I attended the National SHRM conference in San Diego recently, and I had the opportunity to sit in one of the sessions, and I think it was the VP of Microsoft who was speaking, who summed it up in 3 ways and said basically when it comes to AI, if it's routine work, automate it with AI. If it's creative work, augment it with AI. If it's empathetic work, keep it human. That's what I learned from the National SHRM conference.
Thank you. Wow. Brilliant. So Claire, as AI takes on many things that we do, what does it mean to, what is the new job of the human?
You guys started to touch on some of it, and I loved all of your answers. The average IQ of an American is 100. Does anyone know what the average or what the IQ of AI is? It's 155. It is PhD level. It's like smarter than the smartest person type thing. And it's going to accelerate. They say in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to double, go by 30, like 180%, something like that, something crazy. This is really, really smart. We have empathy, which you guys talked about. AI has zero empathy. It will try to replicate, but it can't really emote. We see that the job being pattern matching, seeing things. AI actually can't see patterns the way that humans can. So you talked about business partnering, right? A lot of our job when you're in the room with the leadership team is you're watching. You're watching the dynamics. You're watching the interplay. That's a pattern of behavior. AI can't see that. We see that. So if I think about what is the job, what is kind of left, it's the higher order work where you leverage agency. It's when you start to see people and see patterns. It's when you start to use that kind of your gut feel. It's when you start to tap in. It's when you hear what's not being said. That becomes the work. So we see it being more higher order, purpose driven. We see it the things that are about collaboration, creativity. We see it about driving connectedness. I love the fact you all are using empathy as a word. We 100% agree with that. AI will never have its heart broken. AI will never feel such joy it's moved to tears. Like I remember the first time I saw the Nutcracker ballet at the end of the ballet when they were doing the snowball. Like I was crying and I didn't know why I was crying. It was deep joy. And all of us in this room could have the same recipe and our food could taste it's completely different. That's what AI will not be able to do. And I had an amazing makeup artist in the back, Pamela, like her craft, AI can't do that. So it's the things that are about combining intuition, empathy, pattern matching. It's bringing that beautiful combination. It's knowing the joy and the sorrow. It's putting yourself in somebody else's shoes in a really, really deep way. That's what the work is.
So I love all the EQ and soft skills and just beautiful. How do you develop employees to both be empathetic and have EQ and to be proficient with AI?
I think that's something we as this room need to be really thinking about. I was reading something the other day and it said that the main skill lacking in young people going to college today is their ability to speak to strangers. Did any of you read that as well, right? Was that not really shocking?
I see that with my own kid.
Right.
Right.
And listen, I get the whole stranger danger thing. Like I understand that there was but not being able to engage and to connect with other people and strangers, that worries me. The ability to give and receive feedback, I see as a missing capability today as well. That concerns me. And I think it's our job to make sure that we are creating ecosystems in our organizations where people are getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Our jobs are not to make everybody comfortable. Our jobs are to help everybody express the full version of themselves in the workplace and to be successful in their jobs, right? We all get that. This is the HR professional room. But we're going to have to bring a little bit of discomfort there for people to grow. So the ability to seek out feedback, the ability to give feedback, peer-to-peer recognition, peer-to-peer feedback. I see a lot of organizations really good at giving KPI type feedback rather than development feedback. Some of the hardest conversations I've ever had with leaders is when I try to give development feedback and they've grown up in a KPI performance feedback environment. That's what we have to teach and train. And again, back to what can AI do or what can we do? AI can't actually teach this stuff in the way that we need it to be taught. And I think that's what we're really going to have to think about. How do we do that? How do we hold our leaders to account to, our jobs are to help them to be good, but to hold them to account to be really, really good with their people. And therefore, that's what we need to instill every single day in the practices that we have. And that means our roles become even more important. Very often, we're the one person in the room telling the leader no, right? We're the ones in there that actually have to not be afraid to lose your job to do the right thing. So that doesn't go away, and that really deepens as we move into this kind of agentic AI world as well.
So Johnny and Jackson just on this very stage talked about feedback, and often it's a challenge for folks either to give it or to receive it. How do you overcome that?
I think it's good old-fashioned practice, I got to be honest. Listen, I get feedback and I know when I have the physical, you'll have it too, right? You have the feedback from the person and you feel the knot in your stomach and you're like, oh, usually that's when I'm actually given feedback that I know to be true, I just don't like. Mm-hmm. So there's a repetition and a practice. So I think we have to, double down on the how, the frameworks, the tools. We have to teach people how to do it in a way that is meaningful and impactful. But you have to create the space for people to do it as well. And I think it's becoming a bit harder and harder. I think that right now it's hard to be in our profession right now, right? And that's where I think resilience for us and for others becomes a capability we have to build in organizations. I think that resilience and learning agility will become the two core capabilities that we should all be hiring and training for. And learning should become a skill rather than an activity. Do you know what I mean? It should be like, I'm really good at learning. I know how to learn versus I learned. And that's some of the shifts I think we need to make all in service of this. How do we enable people to give and receive feedback that's meaningful?
And there's this concept of being a lifelong learner.
Yes.
Yes. How do you cultivate agency, empathy, adaptability at Sam's Club?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time really encouraging people to have this kind of human-to-human connection. We make sure that when we look at the tasks and how we're redesigning work, that we're actually starting to take out some of the things that get in the way. So when you're operating in a very grindy, toily environment, that's hard. It's hard to have the head space and the heart space to be empathetic and to use your agency. We're looking at how do we build teams. We're looking at how do we structure work, and we're doing much more. We're calling them experience pods and squads. How do we start to run people more horizontally? Because if you start to think about less cross-functional teams and more cross-functional individuals, it starts to elicit a different way of working. And then people are a bit more agile as you move across, and they're more open to learn. And when you're more open to learn, you're more open to developing empathy. So I think that becomes really important. And part of the benefit of AI is you don't need to be an expert anymore, because AI is smarter than we are. And it has access to 100,000 times more knowledge than we have. So we need to become really good at asking the right questions, editing the information, and making really good decisions and judgment based upon what we know. So think about it. If your finance person can use AI to do marketing, that kind of changes the scope of what you're asking them to do, or how they're kind of approaching their work. And I really think that starts to drive more empathy, more agency. We've given a lot of permission to our people to use AI tools. That's really important, to give the permission, because when you give the permission, then that's when people start to experiment and they learn. And that's something I think we have to think about, because all of this, as we get more awareness of each other's kind of functional area or expertise, or we democratize expertise, that helps to drive empathy and awareness, for sure.
Wonderful. We're going to go to our next table conversation. If AI gave you 40% more capacity, how would you reinvest in people? Chris Cornine, I'm going to call on you.
Reinvesting that time to upskilling and reskilling people to do the jobs they want to do.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
We also said that we would put that time back into our people themselves. I think so much time, in the previous conversation, they talked about being in an instant gratification world, an IG world, where, we're just kind of meeting with people when a problem comes up, or annually for the review, or biannually, when really, if we have the time back, we can give it to them maybe weekly, really just sit down and understand, do they really understand the goals, or what other goals or things do they have that they want to do? How can we help them to really mesh with everything that's happening, or align even?
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We are going to move on. Our next segment is Talent Reimagined. Yes. So, Claire, how is Sam's Club redefining what it means to be qualified?
Yeah. You all like that? You all went, oh, yeah. Chris is like, yeah, that's my question. Come on out, Chris. So at Walmart Inc. and Sam's Club, as part of Walmart Inc., we have been going down the road of skills first, and really trying to reshape, rather than what are the credentials, what are the skills, qualifications people need to do jobs. So our club managers do not require a college education. So there's a moment for us all to kind of rethink, what are we actually asking our young people to do, and how are we starting to look at horizontal skills that build up to different jobs and experiences? And that's really the work that we're looking at Walmart Inc. And we were just talking quite a lot about that yesterday as well, it's super exciting to me. Yeah.
And as you focus on skills-based hiring, what untapped talent pools have you been able to tap?
So I love this question, because we actually just gave a $3 million grant to SHRM and Big Thought to look at youth opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. I just think that is phenomenal, and I'm very, very proud to be part of Sam's Club for doing that. There's something like 4 million 16 to 24-year-olds that are not in education or not in work. 4 million. So we're really investing in, within Sam's Club, but also through partnership with SHRM and Big Thought, how do we actually build infrastructure to do internships and programs that we can give these young people paid experience that will help them start to think about their next rung in their career ladder. I have a super cute story of these young people come in and they won't look anyone in the eye. right? They don't want to talk to anyone. And by the end of the internship, their heads are up, they're engaging, they're talking to the members when they come in. And there was one story I was told when I was visiting the clubs of this young man. And the day he graduated high school, the club leadership team went and they were the only people there recognizing him when he graduated. And he said he would not have, I know I want to cry too. It's one of those ones I get quite emotional. He would not have graduated if it wasn't for his Sam's Club family. That's the responsibility I feel they have. Auntie.
Which skills or mindsets are going to be important in the next 3 years as you look for high potential talent?
Yeah, I think it's all about learning agility. Learning as a skill, learning agility. I think it's about your ability to identify context. And by the way, a lot of these things are not new. I'm not going to say anything here that's like, wow, we haven't heard this before. What I'm going to offer you is the context has changed and how that shows up has changed. So learning agility, ability to identify context really, really quickly and then pinpoint where the problem is. Your ability to ask brilliant questions of AI and then to disseminate through the choices and options AI offers you, and your ability to make decisions, really good decisions at the speed of TikTok. Because if you're anything like my organization, the feedback you get in your engagement surveys is decision-making takes a while and blah, blah, blah. We're not going to be operating in that zone anymore. So we're going to need people that have got breadth of view on the world. And the context piece is really important because then it helps you identify the right solution, and then making really good decisions becomes super critical. I think those are going to be the key differentiators, as well as being good human, great empathy, ability to connect with other people. Those are all things that we're really, really going to prize. And I think you'll find the shift will be in what we traditionally called the soft skills. They're going to be the enduring skills. They're going to be the things that will not change when all of the other stuff continues to change around us. So I would ask you to think enduring skills as well as some more of the technical skills.
Thank you. Last table discussion. What hiring development practice would you redesign?
Good morning, Martha Lanigan. I went to the Work Human conference in May, and Adam Grant, who's a well-known author, told a story about an interviewing process. They brought their finalist candidates in, interviewed them, and all of them, whether they had intended to advance them or not, were given feedback at the end of the interview and then brought back for another interview. And what they were evaluated on was their ability to implement the feedback they received. And that's how they made their hiring decision.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And with that, I want to go back to Claire. Claire, as we talk about AI and human ingenuity, what is your vision for success?
I'm really excited with where we are. I think that if we reframe this a little bit about how does AI help us do more, go faster, be better, I think it's an opportunity. I want us as a as HR function, as HR leaders to start to be involved in the discussion. I feel like it's being led by the business and we need to insert ourselves in it. At Sam's Club and Walmart, we're people-led, tech-powered. That means that we in HR are pushing our way in to make sure we're helping shape and design this. So that would be kind of my vision for the future for us as HR professionals. This can be very exciting. We're going to see a lot of change in the next 18 to 36 months. I want us to be front and center, helping shape and guide and making sure that people are looked after and that we're really making sure there's higher order work there. AI is super powerful. So I would ask you to think a little bit about how are you getting comfortable with it. Get educated. Make sure that you know what's kind of going on with it so that you can have your seat at the table and have your voice. People today can ask AI what the jobs of the future are going to be. If you were to say where your organization was focusing on strategically, and then ask AI, what kind of jobs would this create that are new that don't exist today? AI will tell you. Then you can say to AI, great, what are the technical, soft skills, whatever skills you want to call them, that are pertinent to those jobs? And it will give you a rubric for that. You can then ask AI to create an assessment for you to assess yourself against those capabilities and then build your own gaps. That's the power of this thing today. And today is the worst version that it's going to be. So I would urge you as a big experiment, when you go back, go play. If you don't have it in your organization, I think you can get free versions. You can get $20 a month. That is the power of AI today. That is a power for how we can reshape organizations and people's work to be much more meaningful, higher order work together. And that's what I really invite you to kind of join us as we start to think about.
Claire MacIntyre, thank you so much.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
And that's where we'll end it for this episode of People and Strategy. To learn more about the Visionaries Conference, visit shrm.org/en events.
SHRM.